Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I'm Jody and I help women navigate perimenopause and menopause through education, yoga, breathwork, meditation, movement, nutrition, and realistic wellness practices that actually fit into real life. Today, we're talking about how to manage perimenopause and menopause symptoms when HRT is not an option. Now, there are many reasons why HRT may not be an option for you. And for some women, it's because of medical history. For others, they've been advised against it. And for some, it's simply a personal choice. And if HRT is not on the table for you, that doesn't mean you're out of options. But it does mean that we need to be strategic. It means we need to stop thinking in extremes. It means we need to stop looking for one miracle supplement, one magic food, or one yoga practice that is somehow going to fix everything overnight, because it's just not how this works. And before we go any further, I just want to say something that I think needs to be said more often. Less is more when it comes to supplements. A lot of women in menopause are taking way too many supplements, spending way too much money, and expecting those supplements to do the work that should really be coming from the basics. Supplements can absolutely help, but they are meant to support the plan, not become the plan. So before you build a supplement cabinet that looks like a small pharmacy, I would focus first on the things that move the needle the most. Enough protein, enough fiber, stable blood sugar, hydration, strength training, walking, sleep, stress reduction, and a nervous system that isn't running on fumes all day long. Then, once that foundation's in place, a few targeted and evidence-based supplements may help support specific symptoms. That is a much smarter approach than just throwing 10 random products at menopause and hoping one of them works. So in this video, I want to walk you through the main symptoms that HRT often helps, and then I want to show you what else can help when HRT is not an option through movement, nutrition, breathwork, meditation, sleep support, and selective supplementation. So let's get into it. We're going to start with one of the biggest symptoms, hot flashes and night sweats. These are often the most disruptive symptoms in menopause. And yes, HRT is considered the most effective treatment for both of them. If you're looking for a supplement or natural practice that works exactly like HRT for hot flashes, that's probably not a realistic expectation. But that doesn't mean you can't improve them. Hot flashes and night sweats tend to get worse when the nervous system is already stressed, when sleep is poor, when blood sugar is unstable, and when the body is dealing with excess triggers. So this is where I like to think in layers. First, support the nervous system with things like breathwork, meditation, and yoga. Slow breathing helps calm the body. Gentle yoga can reduce tension and reactivity. Meditation can help you feel less overwhelmed by the symptom itself. Second, look at lifestyle triggers. For some women, alcohol is a huge trigger. For others, it's overheating, spicy foods, very heavy meals late at night, or a bedroom that's too warm. And third, don't ignore nutrition. If you're under-eating during the day, overdoing sugar, skipping meals, or riding the caffeine roller coaster all day long, that can make the whole system feel more unstable. A more supportive approach would be balanced meals, adequate protein, enough fiber, hydration, and more stable energy across the day. And when it comes to supplements, this is where I would keep expectations realistic. Some women explore things like soy isoflavones or other menopause-focused supplements for hot flashes, and there is some evidence that certain plant compounds may help some women modestly. But again, this is support, not a full replacement for HRT. So the correlation here is this. When you support stress, sleep, blood sugar, and triggers, you may improve hot flashes and night sweats at the same time. That's the holistic view. Sleep is often one of the first things to fall apart in perimenopause and menopause, and once that happens, everything feels harder. Hot flashes feel worse, mood feels worse, brain fog gets worse, cravings go up, patience goes down, and workouts feel harder. Recovery gets worse. So if HRT is not an option, sleep becomes one of the biggest areas to focus on. This is where I love a layered approach. On the mind-body side, in evening yoga, breathwork, meditation, yoga nidra, and a consistent wind-down routine can help your body shift out of that wired state. On the environment side, a cool room, breathable bedding, less alcohol, and less stimulation late at night can help too. But nutrition matters here as well. A lot of women don't connect sleep problems with how they're eating. Too much sugar late in the day, too little protein overall, too much caffeine, not enough food during the day, and then overeating at night. All of that can affect sleep quality. So for sleep support, I would look at balanced meals during the day, adequate protein, steady blood sugar, not overdoing caffeine, and making dinner a chaotic free for all because you barely ate all day. And in terms of supplementation, this is one area where a few simple things may help some women. Magnesium is one of the most common ones people use for relaxation and sleep support. It's not magic, but for some women, it can be useful. And again, less is more. You don't need 7 sleep supplements. You need a smarter routine. And this is the correlation I want you to see. When you improve sleep, you may also improve hot flashes, anxiety, brain fog, energy, and cravings. That's why sleep is such a powerful target. Now let's talk about anxiety, irritability, emotional ups and downs, and low mood. This is one of those symptom clusters that can really shake women up because it doesn't always feel like just stress. It can feel like your nervous system suddenly became more fragile, more reactive, and less tolerant. And while hormones absolutely play a role, there's usually more going on. Poor sleep, blood sugar swings, too much caffeine, chronic stress, not enough recovery, and less movement. Feeling unlike yourself in your own body. So when HRT is not an option, I would focus first on stabilizing the body before chasing fancy solutions. That means walking, strength training, yoga, breath work, meditation, sleep support, and eating in a way that helps you feel steady instead of scattered. Nutrition can play a bigger role here than people realize. If you're living on coffee, skipping meals, grabbing whatever's convenient, and not getting enough protein, fiber, and complex carbohydrates, your body is going to feel less stable. And when the body feels less stable, the mind often feels less stable too. So I would really emphasize enough protein, enough fiber, more whole foods, more consistency with meals, and less of that blood sugar whiplash way of eating. And with supplements, again, keep it targeted. Some women may benefit from magnesium for relaxation. Some may find certain nutrients helpful if they are deficient. But I'd be really careful about broad claims around menopause mood supplements. A lot of products overpromise. The better strategy is to ask, what is making my body feel more wired, more exhausted, or more unstable every day? Because when you address that, mood often improves. And here's the overlap. Breathwork may help anxiety, but also sleep, stress, and reactivity. Walking may help mood, but also with blood sugar and energy. Balanced meals may help mood, but also helps with cravings, focus, and stability. That is the power of overlap. Moving on to brain fog. Brain fog is one of the most frustrating symptoms because it can make you feel like you've lost your edge. You forget words, you lose focus, you walk into a room and forget why. You feel slower, less sharp, and less motivated. And while a lot of women are tempted to go straight to supplements for this, I think that can sometimes miss the bigger issue. Brain fog is often the result of multiple drains on the system happening at once. Poor sleep, stress, too much mental load, low movement, under-eating protein, blood sugar, instability, hot flashes, and anxiety. So when HRT is not an option, brain fog is usually best improved by improving the system as a whole. That means sleep first, movement consistently, strength training, walking, hydration, protein and fiber, better blood sugar regulation, less chaos in your daily routine. And nutrition matters a lot here. If you're not eating enough protein or not eating enough overall or constantly living on quick carbs and caffeine, you may feel that in your brain. So I would focus on meals that actually support cognition and energy. Protein at each meal, fiber, healthy fats in reasonable amounts, hydration, and less of the feast or famine pattern. And when it comes to supplements, this is where I would be especially cautious about hype. There are plenty of products marketed for focus and mental clarity, but I would still start with the basics. If someone is deficient in something, correcting that matters. Creatine is also getting more and more attention for muscle and possible cognitive support, which is interesting, especially for women. But again, it works best as part of a strong foundation, not as a shortcut around one. So instead of asking, what supplement do I take for brain fog? I would ask, what is draining my brain every day, and how do I reduce that load? That question gets you much farther. Now, this is such a common menopause complaint, and I still think it gets brushed off too often. A lot of women suddenly feel older in their bodies almost overnight. They feel stiff getting out of bed, their joints ache more, recovery feels slower, everything feels tighter and more inflamed. This is where I think the answer is not less movement, it's better movement. Strength training becomes incredibly important here. Walking matters, mobility matters, yoga matters, and recovery matters. If HRT is not an option, one of the smartest things you can do is keep building and maintaining muscle, because stronger muscles do a better job of supporting joints, improving stability, and helping you feel more resilient in your body. Nutrition matters here too. If you're not eating enough protein, you're making it harder to maintain muscle. And if you're living on ultra-processed foods, too much sugar, too little fiber, and not enough hydration, that may also affect how you feel. So for joints and aches, I would emphasize adequate protein, hydration, a nutrient-dense eating pattern, more anti-inflammatory foods, and a consistent movement practice. And for supplements, I would keep the conversation grounded. Some women find creatine helpful here because it supports muscle, performance, and recovery. Omega-3s may also be helpful for some people, depending on the overall diet, though you still want to think in terms of total dietary pattern, not just capsules. And again, no supplement should be expected to outwork poor recovery, low muscle mass, and inconsistent movement. And here's the overlap again. Strength training helps joints, but also muscle, bone health, metabolism, and confidence. Yoga helps stiffness, but also stress, mobility, and sleep. And protein supports muscle, but also recovery, strength, and healthy aging overall. Now let's talk about vaginal dryness, painful sex, and urinary irritation, because this is an area where I think women deserve a very honest conversation. Natural practices can support this area indirectly, but they are often not enough on their own. Yes, yoga can help you feel more connected to your body. And yes, breathwork can help you relax. Stress reduction can help with desire and tension, but dryness is a physical tissue issue. Discomfort is a physical issue. Urinary irritation is often a local issue. So I never want women to feel like they failed because meditation didn't fix their vaginal dryness. That was never a realistic job for meditation in the first place. Nutrition still matters here because hydration matters. Overall nourishment matters, and feeling generally depleted can affect tissues and recovery. Healthy fats can also support overall health, but this is not a section where I would oversell food as a direct fix either. And with supplements, I would be very careful here too. This is an area where women can waste a lot of money trying to fix a local problem with systemic supplements. This is often where lubricants, moisturizers, and a direct conversation with your doctor matters most. So the honest correlation is this. Yoga, breathwork, and stress reduction may help relaxation, body connection, and even desire. But local symptoms often need local support. That distinction is important. Let's also talk about low libido, because this one is layered. Low libido is not always just hormones. Sometimes it's poor sleep, sometimes it's dryness, sometimes it's discomfort, sometimes it's stress, sometimes it's body image, and sometimes it's exhaustion and mental overload. So when HRT is not an option, libido support usually needs to be broader and more realistic. This is where yoga, movement, breathwork, meditation, and strength training can all help indirectly by improving body awareness, lowering stress, improving confidence, and helping you feel more at home in your body. Nutrition matters here too, though not in the gimmicky way social media sometimes sells it. If you are undernourished, chronically stressed, or running on fumes, that's not exactly a recipe for feeling vibrant, energized, and connected. So I would think less in terms of libido superfoods and more in terms of overall nourishment, stable energy, enough protein, and a body that feels supported rather than depleted. And with supplements, again, caution. There are a lot of libido supplements marketed to women that rely more on seductive marketing than strong results. I would keep expectations modest and stay focused on the bigger picture. Because for many women, improving libido means improving sleep, pain or dryness, stress, energy, confidence, and body connection. That's the more honest conversation. So where do supplements fit into all of this? Here's my view. Supplements can definitely help, but they should be few, targeted, and purposeful. I don't think the answer to menopause is taking a giant handful of pills and powders every morning. I think the real question is, what symptoms am I trying to support? What is already working? What am I missing in the basics? And what supplement actually has a reason to be here? That's a much better way to think about it. For some women, that may mean magnesium. For some, creatine may make sense. For some, correcting a deficiency matters, and for some, omega-3s may help if diet is lacking. But what I wouldn't do is assume more is better, because more is usually just more expensive. And sometimes more is harder on digestion, harder on the liver, more confusing, and makes it impossible to tell what is actually helping. So I'd rather see you do a few things well than 100 things halfway. So if HRT is not an option, what's the takeaway? The takeaway is not that yoga will fix everything. The takeaway is not that supplements will fix everything. And the takeaway is not that you are stuck. The takeaway is that you need a more strategic plan. And you need to look at your symptoms in groups. You need to choose tools that have overlap. You need to focus on the basics that support multiple symptoms at once. That means movement, strength training, walking, yoga, breath work, meditation, sleep support, adequate protein and fiber, stable blood sugar, hydration, and carefully selected supplements when they truly make sense. If your symptoms are mostly stress, anxiety, overwhelm, poor sleep, and hot flashes, the nervous system support becomes huge. If your symptoms are more stiffness, low energy, body composition changes, and loss of strength, then movement, nutrition, and muscle support are the target. If your symptoms are dryness, pain with sex, urinary symptoms, or severe mood and sleep issue, then that deserves more direct and individualized support. That is the smarter way to approach this. So I hope this video helped you see that if HRT is not an option, there is still a lot you can do. You may not have one single tool that handles everything, but you absolutely can build a plan that helps you feel better. And that plan usually works best when it's simple, consistent, and focused on what truly matters. Support the nervous system, support sleep, support muscle, support nutrition and recovery, and be very selective with supplements. Because when you calm the system, strengthen the body, and nourish yourself well, a lot of symptoms become more manageable. If this video was helpful, please let me know in the comments which symptom has been the hardest for you to manage without HRT. And if you want support through menopause with yoga, movement, breath work, mindfulness, and realistic strategies, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't checked out my free book, The Midlife Shift, I'll link that below as well. And thanks so much for being here and supporting my channel. I will see you next time.